Good evening and welcome to the final evening of the IPAI Aviation Watch 10th Annual Regulators and Policymakers Retreat. I have the honor of interviewing Mr. Sachdeva, who's been... Sir, Mr. Sachdeva, welcome to the show.
Thank
Sir,
you.
you've had a long innings in the Indian coal sector, and you were also the advisor to the Ministry of Coal, wherein you had advised them at a period of time when the coal sector, even then, as of now, is going through very challenging times of meeting huge demand on the reserves of coal in India. Now, sir, we've all grown up to believe that India has 200 years worth of coal. This was what was taught to us in the 1980s as students, etc. What is the situation actually like now?
See, as you are said very rightly, Indian coal industry history dates back to 1774. First coal mine in India was opened by grandfather of Sir Ravindranath Tagore in 1774 in Raniganj. And since then, the coal industry's development has gone in tandem with railways development. That too till about early 60s. Because till early 60s, railways in India were the major consumer of coal. In fact, most of you may not be knowing, Indian Railways themselves owned captive mines. And it was those 9 or 10 or 11 mines which were consolidated and converted into what is called first public sector company called National Coal Development Corporation on October 1, 1956. And if your question, coming back to the historical perspective, when the NCDC was formed, we had competing public sector and private sector. Public sector was producing about 3 million plus, private sector was producing about 50 million, around plus minus. During the period of 56 and 1970-71, those 14-15 years period, Indian coal industry has gone through turmoil. Turmoil in following respects. A, the production growth. B, the social aspects of the labor in coal mines. C, the investment aspects in private sector. And D, the development of end-use consumers like power sector, because whole thing got culminated into 1971-73 or whatever you call it, of energy crisis, which compelled Government of India to nationalize coal mines in 2 phases. Phase 1 was nationalized in 1971-72. Phase 2 was 72-73, precisely 73 plus, because then all the mines were nationalized. The objectives again government put forward to the parliament were A, the private players were not able to put in enough money to meet the rising demand, particularly of the power sector. B, the social aspect of the workforce in the industry, which at that time was almost to the tune of 550 to 600,000, were not being looked after. C, the development which is taking place was not of scientific nature, and private owners, erstwhile private owners, were resorting to what is called slaughter mining. Slaughtering, you mean they were taking good coal and leaving on the bad coal. And fourth was to ensure a balanced development of economy, particularly the power sector, steel sector and cement sector, so that the infrastructure, core infrastructure sectors, the growth is harmoniously taken care of, and there is a synergy between the demand and supply of coal.
Sir, given the fact that coal has had such a glorious tradition, and that too it has had a correlation with the development of the railways, of course the railways retired the steam engines, but even to this day they have a certain amount of correlation with the coal sector, in the sense that Indian coal, which has a high ash content, that is transported by railways from the coal mines right up to the consuming power stations. What happens here, sir, we've noticed is that this high ash coal goes, and the railways levy very high charges on coal, because they know that coal does not have alternative means of transport. So we have very high transport charges of this coal, when we are in fact sending a high ash coal, and so you're paying for ash. Such high transport charges right across the length and breadth of India.
Before I answer the question, I must admire your depth of knowledge of the subject, particularly from the infrastructure angle. You are very right that while railways themselves have stopped using coal, almost their consumption is now practically nil. But the dependence of coal sector, and particularly with reference to the major consumers like power, cement, steel, fertilizer, even other miscellaneous consumers like big burners, heavily dependent on coal transport by railway transport, because our localized geographical limitation of the coal deposit, which are in south and southeastern quadrant of the country. That is one. Second, you are also right that our ash content, our coal have a high ash content. But one thing you must remember, this is of nature's endowment. You have no choice. We and you and me would very much like to born as fair white color, but we are brown because this is the endowment of the nature in this part of the world. This region in which we belong is called Gondwana region, Gondwana land, where the coal deposition took place through drift theory. Drifting means that all the vegetable matter, I'm sure you know the origin of coal, all the vegetable matter which led to formation of coal was really collected at one place by water sources and other things. As a result, the admixture of sand, rubble and other things got mixed with the vegetable matter and got compacted. Now we have very peculiar feature of coal deposits in India. That is, the seams are thick with different partings, with non-coal material partings, and that leads to high ash content. But we are very lucky that our coal deposits are low in sulfur, which today, may not be 10 years back, it was a good, very big redeeming feature. Today it is, because sulfur being low, it is a highly environment friendly quality of coal, because ash you can always handle by various techniques, by washing coal, but sulfur to take away is a difficult job.